Hey guys, welcome back. So today we got an interesting new firearm. This one is chambered in .308 and it's coming out of Slovenia. It's from Tinck Arms and it's called the Perun X17. 17 seems to be the designation for firearms chambered in .30 caliber. You know, we had the SCAR 17, which kind of started the whole thing. And so now we have the X17 from Perun, or the Perun from Tinck Arms. And yeah, very interesting gun. Again, chambers in .308, but it does say multi-caliber on the receiver, so I'm assuming you can also just swap out various parts and chamber it in 6.5 Creedmoor, 6 Creedmoor, things like that. The gun's larger than its 5.56 counterpart that you've previously seen here on YouTube, and we'll delve into some of the unique operating principles of this gun. It has an interesting hybrid gas system in it. I've seen it before in history, but we'll talk more about that in today's video. And we'll just do some shooting with it and give you guys some impressions of the gun. I've been shooting it for a couple of months, and I've had plenty of time to develop an opinion of this new firearm, and I'm going to share that with you in today's video. Without all that being said, I should say, let's get started and take a closer look at the Tinck Arms Perun X17. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. The X17 uses standard PMags. So I have a 25 round magazine here. I want to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition free of charge to the channel. We've been shooting Federal my entire life and absolutely love the ammunition. High quality stuff, great American company, great folks working there. So you guys know that I'm a big .308 fan. And I like 6.5 Creedmoor as well. But I'll take a good .308. .308 is an all-American cartridge. It is commonly available in pretty much every store, gun store in America. It just got that type of market coverage. Therefore, I really do like the .308. Now, 6.5 Creedmoor and cartridges like that are outstanding cartridges, but they haven't met the same acceptance market-wide as .308 has. So if you're looking for something like this for a go-to rifle or do-it-all gun, 30 cal probably makes a lot of sense, or the 5.56 version of this gun. All right, so 25 round PMag. I'm gonna throw some ears on here. Now you will notice that the lower half of the gun is basically an AR-10 lower that's just been, you know, like an AR-10 rifle that they've chopped the rear end off of it. It's very similar to what they did with the 5.56 version, used an AR-15 style lower. They just modified it to fit on the receiver, but you're not gonna take a standard AR-10 lower and just pin it on here without some serious modifications. Back here we have an ACR type stock, so it has the ability to be adjusted for length of pull. You can also fold the stock to the side. So nice stocks. I always like the ACR stocks. We have charging, forward charging here. You can take the charging handle out, put it over here if you want to charge it from the right side or left hand side. We have a monolithic rail across the upper part of the receiver here. And then that tapers down. This is a hand guard. And it's been modified, but it's a standard AR-15 type handguard. Again, it's been modified for the use with the gun. Its rail slides into here, has a set screw that holds it in place. We'll talk more about this here in a moment. It does use AR-10 style barrels, has a barrel nut in there that holds the barrel in place. You can easily swap that barrel out yourself. We'll take the handguard off and show you what the gas system looks like in the barrel nut and all that stuff when we get into the disassembly portion of the video. You're going to find, because it does use an AR-10 style lower, that we have familiar controls, you know, familiar selector lever, ping pong paddle for the bolt hold, bolt release. If you want to put ambi controls in there, you could. Just standard AR-10 type trigger components in there. All right, so let's do a little shooting with this bad boy. Now the gun's not super lightweight, but it has a really good heft to it, has a really good feel to it, has a nice balance to it. And because of its weight, the gun is just a pussycat to shoot with some of this 150 grain Federal stuff. Now I do have a Huxworks suppressor on the end. It's their new 7.62 Flow, and we've been using it on this rifle quite a bit, and the gun's been functioning flawlessly with it. And let's go out to 150 here. Very, very smooth shooting rifle. Now you will be able to use standard AR-15 type grips on it if you want to swap out the pistol grip, although I like the grip on this that's on here right now. It feels pretty nice. You're not going to be able to swap out the trigger guard. You can tell that that's machined into the lower. We do have, with the handguard that's supplied from the factory, you have M-LOK all the way around. And yeah, a nice black anodized finish, which looks really, really sharp. Overall, the quality of the gun, the fitment of the gun seems to be spot on. On top here, I have an AMG UH-1 Vortec red dot sight with a Vortec 3x magnifier. This comes from our friends over at Shields. Shields.com has all sorts of great accessories at really, really competitive prices. If you want to check them out, please do. Shields has, again, optics and all sorts of different types of accessories that would make, you know, backpacking and camping and self-protection and all those things, hunting, all those things, that much more enjoyable with the stuff that they sell. So again, check out Shields. I want to thank them for sending out this optic and magnifier for use in today's video. All right, so that's the gun shooting. As you can tell, it's very, very smooth, very mellow recoil impulse. It does not beat you up at all, and that's with the suppressor on it, but it is a flow-through can, so it minimizes those gases coming back, and I'm not getting a whole bunch of gas in my face with the Huxworks silencer on there. Yeah, very, very smooth gun. Do a little more shooting with it. Let's take it apart, take a look at it on the inside, because that's where things get even more interesting. .250 yards, steel target. I love the way that thing shoots. Let's take this bad boy apart. First, I want to make sure the weapon is empty. Magazine has been removed. I'm going to check that chamber, and the gun is empty. So it's going to take apart very similar to an AR-15. You have two takedown pins for the lower receiver. I'm going to go ahead and pop the first pin out, and it will hinge down. You don't have to take that front pin out if you don't want to, but I'm going to go ahead and take the pin out real quick. And then inside you can see the AR-10 hammer in there. All right, now the rest of it's kind of scarish. So you have this rear stock. I'm just going to push down on the stock, and that will free up the bolt and carrier. So now I'm going to pull back on the charging handle, and you'll see that bolt and carrier will come right out the rear. That looks very much like an X95, all right? And then if you want to go a step further, you can take tool here. I'm going to back this set screw out in the front, and then that will allow that handguard to come off. So you can see that the handguard's been modified. You can see how it slides over and attaches here. Then on the barrel itself, you can see how the barrel is held in by a nut. You'll see a direct gas impingement tube back here, but it comes to a pocket, a piston cup, if you will, inside the receiver, because you have a little nubby piston head on the end of the bolt carrier that sets in there, and that gas acts on that short gas piston. Now, I've seen that before in history. This is an old 80s gun. This is a Hack 7, and this is also a 308, but you can see how it's taking direct gas back here and then depositing it in this piston tube. There's a piston head on the bolt carrier in here, and that operates the action of the gun. So this short gas tube has been done before. Now the benefits of it, I'm not sure, but I just thought it was really interesting when I had seen that. Now the X95 taps gas off really early, and it has a gas block that's right here at the rear of the barrel close to the receiver. And this also has a different operating principle than a gun like the X95. So you might think that it's just sliding back and forth. Here has a bolt stabilizing rod, and then our recoil spring, of course, then the buffer assembly and everything in the rear here. But just pulling back on the bolt carrier doesn't tell the whole story, because if you push on the gas piston, watch the bolt and carrier moves rearward together for a short distance. What's happening there? Well, the bolt and carrier move rearward with the gas piston when the gas comes into the chamber, because that's what unlocks the bolt. Then it carries that momentum on to cycle and then goes back in the battery. So it's like almost like a short stroke gas piston. It taps that carrier, sends it rearward, and then they go back home together. Very interesting operating principle. If you take a look at the head, it looks like a standard AR-10 type bolt head, and you'll see the ejector in there and things like that. So overall, it's a very, very simple gun, all aluminum construction, very robust, seems to be well made, certainly works quite well. The gas system is adjustable, so you can see the adjustable gas block right there. And that block is screwed on, so that's something you could replace if you wanted to. So yeah, very, very interesting design. Some of you may want to see the bolt and carrier disassembled, so let me do that for you here really quickly. So you have a cotter pin sitting right there. Slide that cotter pin out, and that'll let your firing pin fall out. Now you have a cam pin, just like an AR-10, but you'll notice there's no flats on it. You can just push it back, shake, and that pin will fall right out. And then you take your bolt out of the carrier. Now, if you take a look at the bolt, that looks like a standard AR-10 bolt, like an arrow bolt. I should have brought one out just to see if it was the same, but it even has the gas rings back here on it. So you probably have some parts commonality there. So that's it. That's all there is to the bolt and carrier. And yeah, very, very simple gun, very familiar to those of you that are used to AR-10, AR-15. All right, 350 yards. So the Perun X17 is a really, really nice rifle. There's no getting around it. Now, again, this is a prototype. I don't know how much they're going to cost. They're not even listed on the website yet. Right now, you can get information on the 16, which is the 5.56 version. The 308 version like this, again, information is just not out there yet. But I wanted to show you the gun because it is a very interesting rifle. I know a lot of folks like myself are moving more towards 30 cal 308 because we just see a need for it, especially based upon the areas in which we live. And so rifles like this are a welcomed addition. For the longest time, we just had Cold War rifles, FALs, G3s, M14s to shoot in 30 cal. It's nice to see companies bringing out modern rifles that chamber, that cartridge. So the other thing you might find interesting that I thought was interesting about the gun is you have the step down look right here, and you might think that looks awkward. What's that for? Well, one thing that makes it very beneficial is the ability to mount D-balls and other accessories. They're going to set down below the rail. So your optics aren't going to be obscured by any devices that you put out here. That step down is kind of nice for that. So yeah, I think overall it's a very well thought out gun. I like the operating system. The gas system on it is a little bit unique. I think that gas system, Jason and I have, been looking at direct gas impingement systems, a short stroke gas piston, long stroke gas piston, and in our opinion, the short stroke gas pistons tend to be the most violent, most jarring, the most movement in the guns when they fire. This hybrid seems to tame that. So you get the benefits of DI, where you have perhaps the gases operating the mechanism are allowed to compress in that short DI gas tube before they hit the piston area. I don't know what, but it certainly seems to be a very, very smooth shooter. Nothing like a short stroke gas piston like you might find on an MR762A1, for example. So overall, very impressed with the gun. We'll do more videos with it in the future. Hopefully these things will wind up on the US market here soon. I know folks are going to definitely be interested in them. The pricing, I don't know. My guess it's going to be north of $2,000, but I'm just guessing at that point. But given the quality and everything else about it, I would imagine that's probably the price point it's going to be at. So we'll see. If you guys have any questions, you can ask those questions down in the comment section below the video. If you guys would like to support us here at the Military Arms channel, the best possible way to do that is become part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the join and thanks buttons. Underneath the video player you're watching right now, you can mash either one of those buttons and support us right here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Thank you for 15 years of support. Check out Copper Custom. We'll talk to you guys soon.